In the absence of our chairman today, I'll be chairing the meeting as vice chair of the Port Waterway and Beach Commission. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 3 o'clock on September the 17th. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Commissioner Benjamin, absent. Commissioner Rivers.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Way.
Here.
Commissioner Flowers.
Here.
Okay, if you notice on the agenda number 4, we have adoption of agenda. This is something we really haven't done in the past, but I feel like that it's important to start doing that because we need to follow the agenda when we go through the meeting. And if you have anything at all to add to either new business or old business for commissioners, would you state that now so we can insert it? Then I'll need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Motion passes. Secretary Treasurer's report.
Okay, this is the final month, our year end, our fiscal year ends on the 30th. So for the city police law enforcement overtime, of the 8,000 committed, we have spent $1,840. The St. Johns County Sheriff's Department overtime, of the 20,000 committed, $10,962 was spent. We have spent nothing on the maps. On the derelict boats, we committed 14,000 and spent 9,000. Or that was, yes. The COs was 25,000 and we spent the 25,000. The navigational aid repairs, we went over budget. It was 10,000 that we budgeted. We've spent 18,480. In the State Board of Administration Fund, we have $22,817 to date. In the operating account, we have $220,000, $498 to date. And in the money market account, we have $1,930,747. In the Summer Haven account, there's a balance of $16,859. For the tax year 2018-19 that we budgeted, or tax revenue, we budgeted $526,341, and we received to date $526,083, and that's pretty much where we'll be. We'll be short about $258 according to the budget.
Hey, thank you. Do any of you have questions for the Secretary Treasurer? All right, thank you. You've all received copies of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? If so, we'd like a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Treasurer's
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Motion passes.
Who moved and seconded that? Who moved?
Chris moved. I seconded.
Okay.
Okay, moving on down. Engineering report, Mike. I've asked him to give the report from in front of us instead of over there because my light hearing difficulty, and I could better, if I could read lips as well as hear.
Okay, I have a short report today. The Summer Haven River project, at least our portion of the project, fared well during Hurricane Dorian. Some erosion occurred on the back slope of the dune that that the Friends of Summer Haven River had intended to plant. So they had to get back out there, regrade it a little bit, but the contractor is out there today starting to plant the sea oats. So that is all that I have today.
Questions? Comments?
Yes, I have some questions. What about the FEMA appeal?
Is that a question for me?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Is it a question for you? I mean, you're the engineer, you're sending an appeal letter,
Yeah,
or he's writing
yes.
it, but he's got to get the data from you.
Yes,
Have you-
I sent Jim all the data, or at least all the important data that I had sent to FEMA.
Okay, now, I haven't seen that. Did that go to, did you send an email to us? Or just to Jim? Because I haven't seen.
I sent that data to Jim. and
Okay.
Jim was incorporating that into his letter.
Okay, so Jim, what's the status on the FEMA letter?
No response yet.
Have you sent the letter?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I
when
sent
will-
you a copy of it.
No, sir, I did not get that. Can I get, what day did you send that letter to FEMA?
September 11th or 12th. I'll send you a copy.
Yeah, if I can get a copy, that would be great, thank you.
One to everybody.
Okay, you've got no response from them though yet?
No.
Okay.
Right, Mike, thank you.
One other question about Summer Haven. What about our, I'm not sure if this is you or Jim, but what about our insurance claim that we voted unanimously to file against Summer Haven?
Working on the insurance claim.
Okay, when do we expect it to know something about that? How long does it take to file a claim?
Well, we have to, it's actually like filing the FEMA claim. We have to, I'm just going through the damages and trying to get a good figure for the claim.
Do you have some, can I get all of that data and paperwork from you, please?
Sure.
So you're doing that right now?
Yep.
Okay, so it's been 30 days. Do you know, or does anybody know, if there's a time limit on filing this claim against the insurance after he quit that job?
After he quit?
He walked out on an unfinished project, so if there a time, no, don't argue with me. Is there a time, I'm asking you a question. I'm the commissioner.
Wait, we're gonna
I'm
have
asking you a
order,
question.
please, order here.
You direct your questions.
No, we don't,
You is
Okay.
what I just asked you.
the way I see it, this doesn't really have anything to do with Mike, so why don't you go ahead and sit down, and we'll have government representatives. Carl, I know you want to make some comments.
Sure.
Well, I thought we were gonna introduce.
Well, I can, sure, I'll introduce. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Carl Blow, Florida Inland Navigation District, 100 Santa Monica Avenue, St. Augustine. Mr. Chair, I'd just like to introduce Mr. Neil Fricke with St. Johns County, who's Director of Public Works. Yeah, Director of Public Works, and that's a big job out there because they got a lot of public works. So I'm going to let Mr.
Thank
Neil
you.
come on up.
Neil?
Vice Chair Rivers, Commissioners, good afternoon.
State your name and address for
Neil
the...
Shinkray, Public Works Director, St. Johns County. I'm here on behalf of the county today in really requesting authorization from the commission so that the county can get some help to close the breach that was occurred at the Summer Haven right-of-way for along old A1A, pretty much about our monument 205, which is quite in the middle of the roadway. We really worked with your commission during the storm. I had the pleasure to talk to Mr. Benjamin to seek his authorization as a temporary measure. Unfortunately, because of high tides, we couldn't get there. And unfortunately, what happened to Dorian, as you all seen there, a lot of overwash towards the Summer Haven River and a breach on our roadway there. So what we wanted to ask today of your commission, I have a small presentation that I've done to my board. I can quickly go if you'd like me to. It's just 3 or 4 slides that will give the commission a better idea. But we're trying to, on an emergency basis, to get the sediment from the river. That's the closest we can get out there and close the breach for now. There's also other projects coming very much after that. One is the U.S. Army Find project, so we're also going to be working very closely with them to make sure that we get good due diligence with them. If the commission would like, I can show you some of the
I
slides
think it would be
shared.
helpful.
Okay, thank you. So this is one of the slides I shared with the commission. As you can see, was taken during Dorian on September 3rd, kind of showing you the clear overwash into the river, which kind of promulgated the breach. What you have here is on the left-hand side is pre-Dorian, showing you a great flow from the Summer Haven River. A lot of work that has been done by the Port and Waterway, the Friends of the River. You see what on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, you see that breach. And if I have a pointer here, maybe not. If you see that black line that has been drawn, it's kind of a computer-aided thing to show our commission where the river used to be. If you see there's no flow to the river, there's a complete overwash of sand into the river. If you see those black dotted lines, that's where the breach is. We could not showcase the board exactly what it was on 7th September, but if you see the photo on the right-hand side is a close-up of that breach, kind of showing it's kind of well established, and our goal is to close that breach. We shared with our board that, the breach keeps on widening. We want to go as an emergency to close the breach. We've talked with DEP and the U.S. Army Corps, and they are okay with us as long as you authorize us, the county, to operate on your behalf on the JCP and the Department of Army Corps permit that you have. We should be okay. We have been also working with your engineer, Taylor, that is also our engineer, because of some common background there, to make sure that we're doing it the right way. So that's what I'm here for. If the commission chooses and we can get this authorization, it will help us to do what we're waiting to get done. We are, as we speak, working on a bid, an emergency bid, that we will hopefully have some contractors immediately as soon as we can get there.
This would be at no cost to the port board.
This will be at absolutely no cost to the port. Yes, sir.
Is the sand you're proposing to take out of the river, is that going to be done with backhoes and tractors or a dredge?
We are, it will be excavators and backways. So we are not, because it's an emergency and we want to get out there pretty quick, we could not do the, full-blown project per se.
So all the sand that you're going to attempt to take out of the river, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's why we've been working with your engineer, Michael Trednick, because he has a lot of background that's helping the port for quite some time. So we want to make sure we were in the right hands.
And you won't have to truck in any sand?
At this time, no. We felt, it would be the right thing to excavate from the sediment from the river.
There's probably enough sand in the river.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you can't take out too much.
No, that's right. The numbers and figures I gave, we couldn't estimate. We've not done our final calculations, but we're estimating anywhere from 30 to 50,000 cubic yards has overwashed into the river is what we think, so.
And we would be adding the county to the permit? Is that right?
What the authorization is not adding the county, the authorization is for the county, to authorize the county to operate under the JCP you have. And the state, the DEP, and the U.S. Army Corps are okay doing so because of this emergency. Two other data points, there is an EFO in order done by Governor DeSantis, and the county also has a local state of emergency that allows us to do these emergency construction projects.
Mr. Fricke, is, who's going to determine the...
Yeah. No, Shinkray, yes, that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
How are you going to coordinate where you're going to take the sand from the river? Will you be coordinating with the engineering firm to say, what's going to be the most beneficial for the river at the same time?
Yeah, we're going to try to, absolutely. It's a good question. We are doing so. That's why we're working with Mike to get us a profile of where we can, and there's a monitoring and a requirement of your permit of what to do, what not to do. And we're going to make sure the contractor obeys that.
Sounds good to me.
We need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'm not sure I understand. You just go over, you're going to go fix the breach that just occurred after Dorian. You guys approved for $500,000 to do that. And you just need us to give the sponsorship.
We are asking your authorization. The county can do exactly this, but it will take us some time to paperwork with the state and the U.S. Army Corps. The Port and Waterway has a permit in place, and the DEP and the U.S. Army Corps are okay us using and operating your permit. So the authorization.
Sliding right in under what we already have would be legal.
That is correct.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, Carl, did you want to say something?
Well, I just, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to also follow up on Neil's comment that this also really impacts the intercoastal waterway. As you guys know, we have a shoaling problem there adjacent to the Matanzas Inlet. We got people running aground, getting damaged, and, having to pay CTO a lot of money. So, as you know, we've had this project in the works of moving 300,000 yards and putting it in this location on the Summer Haven Beach, which will greatly improve that situation down there. But when the breach occurred, it's caused a little concern with the Corps, and by the fact that the county has allocated up to, $500,000 to get out there and fill this breach, and they're going to do it now. That means that our project will remain on schedule. Our contractors, our contract has been let. Our contractor is already mobilizing, so in addition.
Who's doing that, by the way? What's the dredger?
South Winds. And they just finished a job for us immediately south of there in Flagler County. So at any rate, there's been great cooperation as always between FINE, the Corps, the county, Taylor. So this would really be very timely to go ahead and move forward on this. That's all I just
Carl,
wanted
do you
to-
mind if I ask you, is the Corps just about to go to the Matanzas Inlet now? Aren't they really close to redredging?
The contractor is, as far as our project in the Intercoastal Waterway,
Right.
they're in the process of moving the pipe and equipment in. And I think we're kind of thinking about maybe starting to dredge, say, the 15th of October, I think. By
When is the Corps coming to do the most of that, the biggest thing of the inlet? When are they going to start dredging?
You mean in the Intercoastal Waterway?
No, I thought the Corps had a big project to put some more sand from the Matanzas Inlet that's come back in.
I'm
No?
not aware of
Okay,
any
nothing in the
project
inlet at all.
where
Okay.
anybody's going in the inlet.
It's actually all in the intercoastal?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's strictly the Intercoastal Waterway.
Okay, any more discussion on the motion?
Thank you.
I have a card. Public comment under 286.
Well,
You're gonna have to wait for the public comment section.
If there's a motion, I have a right to speak under Florida statute 286.
No, not here, you don't.
You're breaking the law.
okay, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
We're not gonna talk about it.
Why wouldn't you let the man speak?
Because
He's giving you a legal statute. Could you not look it up and see if he's right or wrong?
I've been to over 1,000 public meetings, and slaving is right, and I don't even like slaving.
I mean, could we follow the law?
Okay,
yeah, we're following the law. That's what we do here.
Okay, well, let's put,
We have a
Okay.
public comment.
okay, please.
sir, you're not following the law. You don't even have a contract to be our lawyer. And if you don't stop
Commissioner Flowers,
gabbling me, you're
well
going to go to jail. I'm going to be visiting you in jail.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, say
I'd
aye.
like to speak on this item.
All in favor of the
I'm
motion, say
286,
aye.
You're making a decision, I have a right to speak.
I'd like to personally hear what he has to say.
Breaking the law.
Wait for the public comment section.
No, it's.
Well, we're going to be voted by then. We will have voted on it by then.
All right. Neil, straighten them out. You have every county.
Let's take the
meeting,
vote.
You know what the law is.
Let's take the vote.
Can you just pull up the law?
Take the vote.
Pardon?
Let's take the vote.
Oh, the vote, okay.
Okay.
Mr.
I'd like to
Sally,
speak
you're
on
not
this item.
recognized.
All in favor of the
I have a
motion,
card.
say aye.
I'm not going to vote
Aye.
until you do it right.
All opposed, no.
You just broke the law.
You just broke the law.
You're a
You won't even
lawbreaker.
pull up the law to see if the man is right.
Okay.
From a lawyer who doesn't have a contract to
Neil,
work
for
for us,
comment.
will not even pull up the
Any
law.
other government representatives here, please? Jim Pickett?
Jim Piggott, City of St. Augustine. We, about 3 months ago, had come to the port about a sailboat that was registered as derelict, and we had, the cost that we received to pull it was $16,000. The contractor went out there, tried to pull it. They couldn't even budget out of the sand, so we had to rebid it out to someone that can get it out, and the price came back in around $29,000. So we've contacted FWC. FWC is picking up 75%. The 25% that you originally agreed to will be going up to $7,250. And I just want to,
Is that Patel's boat? No.
it's the boat by the east side of the river,
We're,
towards 312 Bridge.
oh, it's towards the
But
312.
this side. So I'm just trying to get your consensus to move forward with it.
What's the increase?
What's the increase?
It's around $3,200. It's your cost right now would be $7,250.
Lord.
And this is to remove a derelict boat that is north of 312? or south of 312?
north of 312 on the east side.
Okay, I guess it was up there by a dock, somebody's dock, Mr. Patel.
Yes,
And
that's the
that the
one.
city was gonna have, y'all have had it moved, and you were gonna put a lien against
The contractor tried to move it and he couldn't budge the boat.
that's why it's more money.
That's why it's more money.
So the city's gonna still do the contract, we're gonna pay for it, and then the lien against the boat owner is going out
As
to
far
try
as I
to collect?
understand, that's still in the court system, but we were told we can move the boat now.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Let's get it out of there.
Second.
I second it, or whoever.
Okay, there's been a motion, is it seconded? Seconded?
Yes, he seconded it.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Jim, did they get the boat out of Connie Patel's dock yet?
That's what we were just talking about.
Oh, that is the one. Oh,
Yeah,
and it's stuck under,
it's buried in sand, so it's gonna take a lot more time and effort to get it out of there.
Jim, sorry, I had two constituents ask me about the kayak ramp or the kayak launch down in Lincolnville. Do you happen to know what the status of that project is? I know it got,
We
Canceled 'cause
applied
of
for
hurricanes, right?
moving the grant forward for one additional year. We haven't heard back yet whether, I don't believe Find has granted us that.
okay.
But I can tell you the matching dollars was not approved by our city commission in this year's budget for us.
Now, Find had told us that that money for the kayak launch was being protected for a certain period of time, like for
Right, and
this year.
we asked for an extension.
Okay.
And I don't believe we have heard from Find for the third and final year extension.
But you're not gonna come back to this board and ask for the money that we gave for it?
I told you we wouldn't, because originally there was 60,000 for a police boat, 90,000 for that. And then, it was Matthew that hit. We've asked if you can, instead of giving us the money for that, give us some money to replace our fuel docks, so we get boats back on the water, which Support graciously did. And then in 2017, we came back and asked the 60,000 for the police boat, which you gave us, which we just got. And we said we would not come back and ask for the 90,000 for the kayak launch, because that was more of a want rather than a need. And we were gonna try to figure a way to pay for it, but
Well,
unfortunately.
want
it didn't
boat,
make
I'm
the
just
shoot.
saying, putting boat in your, gas in your boat is a want. Nobody needs to do that instead of just fishermen. It's still a recreational activity, just like
I know,
people that like
but
kayaks.
we needed a police boat on the water, which
Right,
was a
right.
higher priority,
Right.
so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
So, to answer the question, the kayak launch is not happening, is it?
Unless we can find the matching fund money.
Carl's got a comment on that.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, not to surprise Jim here, but it's a good surprise. I just happen to have our proposed budget here, and it's showing the Riberia Point kayak launch, which was a $90,000 grant, right? And it's in our budget, our proposed budget, which we've had the first tax hearing. We'll have our second tax hearing the 25th this month. So it looks, we're still, I mean, I guess you haven't gotten the letter, but it's in our next year's budget.
And was that the total cost, 90,000, or?
No.
No, there's more to it.
50%.
Okay, right.
That's the 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right, but
as
if the
far as
city-
fine, it's, we're still carrying it as if you're gonna apply.
as I recall, when you asked for that money in lieu of the money we had allocated to the kayak ramp or launch, that we said that, we would shift the money over, but if you ever wanted the money back, you gotta come and just start over. And that's how I recall it. I don't know if, Tom, do you remember it that way?
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's just, if they come back, you're just gonna have to start over, and the board will have to decide whether they wanna fund it or not.
Right. I just wanted to answer
Yeah.
Commissioner Brown.
Oh, yeah, no, I
As
wasn't
far as
talking about
fines part of
anything
it,
on your end,
we're
Carl.
still carrying it
Still
forward. It's
ready.
allocated in our.
And we'll have a year to act on that potentially?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
then it
it's
expires?
coming up.
But right now, the problem is the city doesn't want it to happen. Again, we've got different people on the board, so it looks like the kayak ramp is, there's a surplus apparently everywhere. That's what's getting me. I saw an article in the paper, what are we gonna do with all this money? We have a surplus. So what in the world of something that's been mandated by the city to take place is now unmandated?
I just wanted to let you know.
Thank
that
you very
the
much.
Fine
you.
money's still there.
Thanks. Another government representative?
Teddy Meyer with Parks and Recreation. I just want to give you guys an update on two things. Gulfstream is doing the permitting for Doug Crane, and P&G Construction, per our engineer, P&G Construction will be in charge of the project and working on that with the procurement process over the next 30 days, give or take. The other thing was that we have been working with the Marine Patrol to redo the wake zone ordinance for the county. And so also looking at the signage and where we don't have wake zones in certain areas, and then combining the ordinance to include basically one ordinance, and then it'll take care of any future ramp or boat ramp facilities we add in there. So there's a lot, like multiple, I don't remember, how many were there, Josh, you remember?
Every boat ramp has its own ordinance. Instead of all of them being the same, they all have their own ordinance. And then on top of that, they all have their own Florida administrative code associated with that wake zone.
So we're,
Microphone, it's not picking up.
it doesn't have one. So we're looking to combine them all together and then also incorporate future boat ramp facilities and boat ramp areas, marine areas would be involved in that, incorporation of an ordinance too.
So currently each boat
Josh.
ramp in the county.
State your name.
Sergeant Josh Underwood, Sheriff's Office Marine Unit. Currently, each boat ramp in the county has its own ordinance that's associated with a wake zone. So I'll give you an example, like Salt Run is a 1996 ordinance, and it hasn't been updated since. So the county is looking at, instead of having multiple ordinances for each area that's designated as a no wake zone, getting with FWC Boating and Waterways in Tallahassee and combining them into one.
So that's like from a certain distance from any marina or any boat landing would
Yes, ma'am.
qualify for the no wake.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That was it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else to say?
Up here. Sergeant Josh Underwood, Sheriff's Office Marine Unit. Just some statistics from last port meeting to this port meeting. I apologize I wasn't here last port meeting because I was dealing with the search and rescue for the 2 missing firefighters offshore. We had 171 hours on the water, 86 calls for service, 31 vessel safety inspections, 17 wake zone patrols, 5 issued warnings for all safety regulations, 4 were citations for no registration, no life jackets on board whatsoever, no navigation lights, and no MSD installed on the boat whatsoever. So a required boat that's supposed to have an MSD over 26 foot with a cabin didn't have one on board, so they were cited for that. And then we had 2 concrete docks that we assisted City Fire tow to the Volano boat ramp, and the City of St. Augustine actually took them out before the last storm and crushed them up and then hauled them away. And those are just free floating in the intercoastal waterway.
The city did that, that's really expensive to take those things out with the
And they were
contractor.
extremely awkward to tow.
And that's why people let them loose too.
Right. They was like towing a submerged
It's
tree
so
or something.
dangerous, yeah.
And those were 40 by 20, the sections that we took in there.
With those.
2 of those.
No idea where they came from though, huh? We never did.
We don't. And then the other thing I have is number 3 in the inlet's off station. It's on Anastasia State Park, and number 5's off station on the South Shoal. They both been reported to Coast Guard in Jacksonville, and I was told within 30 days they'll be fixed.
Number 3 is a lighted buoy, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's actually laying on the beach, somebody said.
Flashing.
On the beach, okay.
So I actually talked to them yesterday about that, and they were going to send someone to take the light off.
Oh, okay, so it's still
The
flashing.
light won't be flashing. And then, like I said, those were reported, and they gave me a 30-day window to be repaired. They said they were waiting on Sea State to settle down before they
Okay.
reinstalled them.
Can I ask you a question? Are you
Yes, ma'am.
finished? Okay. Did you ever get your mooring ball for drunk boats?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Piggott, just since you're here, is there some way you could help us out here? Because Mr. Underwood was asking the port if we could arrange to have one mooring ball, or maybe 2, so when they have to make an arrest or take somebody in for being drunk, they have some place to drive to park their boat. Where do you do with it now? Have to take it to the marina and put it in a slip?
If it's a BUI, we'll try to arrange with like a family member or something to take the boat. We'll tow
Okay.
it to the boat ramp. That way they can, get it on a trailer and haul it off.
Right.
The only time we've had an issue with not being able to find something is like in the past when we dealt with the elderly woman that didn't have a
Right.
place to go.
Well, is that something you're still looking to get? Is a specific mooring ball for that issue?
That was something we brought up. We didn't know if the port wanted to fund like an open ball,
Mr.
or
Piggott, would
how
you talk
guys
to us
wanted to
about
do
that?
Where would you want that ball, Josh?
That would totally be what's available or.
No, but if you could put it anywhere, where would you want it?
Like, is Salt Run the biggest BUI area, or just because?
Well, and really the mooring ball is not something we use for a BUI.
Yeah,
Because 99% of the time we can find somewhere
Right.
for that boat to go with a family member on a trailer.
okay,
It's like when we have someone, we don't have nowhere for them to go. Obviously, it's not safe for them to navigate.
All
Either we
kinds of
tie
different
them up
other
to the
reasons.
city dock, or we tie them up to the county pier, or we do something with their boat.
right. And that comes up enough that you feel like you need a spot to put them.
It comes up every so often, not like really frequently,
Yeah.
but it does come up every so often. Because right now it's either, the last woman we did tie to a mooring ball and she ended up paying for it.
Right.
But other than that, we just tie them up to the county pier or the boat ramp, whatever we can do with them.
Well, is that something you want us to pursue and see if we could get the city to,
If you guys would be as a board interested in doing that, we'd be all for it. Because it would help not only me, but FWC, the city.
well, that's right, it's all law, sheriff too, sheriff, cop Jerry.
FWC, everything.
Plus, okay. Mr. Piggott, would you talk to us about that and what the city might be able to do, or?
Jim Piggott, City of St. Augustine. If the port wants to pay for a mooring ball, we can put one, but you gotta understand too, the mooring balls are rated for different sized boats.
Right,
So if a boat there that is too big for that mooring ball, or
Right.
the draft is too deep, you'd be paying for nothing in that case.
right. What do y'all normally have? Do you usually have like big sailboats or stuff, or is it usually recreational craft, fishing boats, or?
Not too frequent.
It's not
Everything.
frequent, but when it does happen, then we're kind of in a bind. But I would say every time it's happened, it's been like a catamaran.
Yeah.
The
So
last
again-
the last two times it's been a catamaran. It hasn't been like a recreational
Right,
boat.
right. So usually they're gonna probably draw less than four. So Mr. Piggott, is not one of those unusable mooring balls in Salt Run available just to,
It depends the size of the catamaran or
Right.
the vessel.
right,
And the other issue, a lot of times, like, if a boat's moved there, which we run our marina like a private enterprise, a private company. So we're there because not one single tax dollar is used to operate our marina. So if we have a mooring ball and Josh moves a boat there, or FWC moves a boat there, and we know who the owner is, I mean, if you want to pay for that, that's fine. But if you don't, I understand that because you know who the owner is, but maybe they don't have enough money to pay for the mooring ball, or if they're there for 2 or 3 weeks. And then it gets to be, okay, now how do we get rid of this boat? Because it's on a mooring. If you guys want to take that cost up, that's up to y'all. And we'll charge you for the mooring ball, but it's just something that you got to consider. Because if Jim Piggott has a boat that's put there, he knows who I am, but I'm not going to pay it. Going through the court system, looking at this boat by Connie Patel, which we know who the person is. He said he wanted a trial by jury, and we're still not getting a dime for it.
well, the thing about the mooring balls, they're on public property, they're public invitation, and if you need safe harbor, if your boat, I mean, it's perfectly legal to run ahead of a storm or for safe harbor for anything and just
storm.
grab one of those balls. So why wouldn't you want law enforcement, when needed, to take advantage of that? I mean, all they've got to do is call the city and say, I've got a boat, this kind of draft. Is it okay to put it on ball number 4?
If someone pays for it,
Okay, so the city, in other words, the city's not willing to take on any of that?
we're not going to take on the
Even
boat
though the
without
salt run
rent.
balls can't, you don't rent them out? You don't make
We
any
don't
money
want
off
to take
them?
on the boat that we're not going to get reimbursed for.
Or they don't remove it.
Okay, let's move on.
Because
with the
there's
agenda.
issues down the road. They don't want to move the boat. They may not have insurance. which is part of our requirement to be on the boat.
Right, I know. See, we've talked about that before too. See, it's illegal for you to demand insurance on public property when the state does not require it on that boat. It would be like saying you have to have comprehensive insurance on your car to drive through St. Augustine when the state doesn't require it. So did you ever talk to the city attorney about that?
The city attorney helped us
Okay, well, that is too sad because, again, we sure do have a lot of bad attorneys because the city cannot require insurance on a public road or a public mooring ball or public property of any kind that is not required by the state. The state controls the insurance industry in this. So again, if Isabel said that's fine, we should
Sure,
look for a
that's your
different
opinion,
one.
that's not our legal
No,
opinion.
that's just a legal opinion. I know lots of lawyers that are real practicing lawyers. So again, if you talk to Isabel,
Okay, let's
she
go
said
ahead
it was
and move the agenda.
I'm sorry, I am talking.
That's not on the agenda.
I am not limited, no, this is, I'm asking questions to our
Commissioner
city
Flowers,
representative.
would you
Our
like-
city representative is in front of me. I am asking legitimate board questions. Go ahead and stop me, I will see you in jail. I'll stop talking now because you made me.
Are y'all finished?
I was not finished.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you sure? I can talk.
If it's about port business, yes.
Well, that's what I was doing. Mr. Young, Josh, is it
Yes, ma'am.
Underwood?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like the port to continue at this point to try to achieve some kind of ball for you to use in the execution of law enforcement?
Yeah, if you guys want to fund it, that'll work.
And that would be...
It would be for all of us, not just the sheriff.
Right, it would be for all of law enforcement.
Yes.
Well, I'm not saying anybody do anything, but I'll make a motion to look into doing that for law enforcement.
Okay, the motion is out of order. Here's what I suggest. Why don't we put that on the agenda for the next meeting, so we can study the issue before October,
Okay.
okay? Would you agree to that,
Josh,
Mr.
if-
Flowers?
Yes.
Thank you.
If the board were to entertain getting a mooring ball and the port paid for it, then you guys would be responsible for once a boat's on there, that you're the ones that are gonna see that they get off?
Right, we'd have to see it out, being that we put them there. It's kind of like if we do it now, and we get the city's permission to put them there, we still have to seek them out to have them removed.
Yeah, so if they're on your ball, you're gonna make sure that somebody comes and gets that boat.
Right, and if it were you guys renting a ball, we wouldn't actually need it until we actually had a boat there.
Well, let me ask you this, if we paid for the ball, Jim, would the city let us put it somewhere in the city limits, in the waterway?
We would select the ball for you to use. But one of the things you gotta think about too is, let's say Josh brings a boat to the mooring and ties it up. The owner comes back for whatever reason, says, oh, that's broken on my boat, that's broken on my boat. Or the downline wasn't tied properly and it floats away and damages something or hits another boat. City doesn't want to be liable for that, which is one reason why we have
I
insurance.
understand that. Is there,
I don't know if the sheriff's department wants to be liable for that either.
what's the liability? I mean, when someone's arrested for DUI and can't get the car, you guys have it towed?
Right, it gets towed by the tow
Okay,
company
so
or
and
whatever.
while it's being towed, the guy goes, hey, my car got scratched up while it was being towed.
The tow company would follow up on that.
Yeah.
We would do an inventory of the exterior, interior of the vehicle, and it would get submitted in the report. So the situation where we wouldn't be towing a derelict or putting a derelict on a ball.
On the ball, yeah.
This would be in a situation like the past where you actually have somebody on that boat, and instead of them putting them on like the Volano Pier, the county dock, where you're tying up dock space for the other public members to use it, that person is on the boat responsible for it being tied up. So it's not an unoccupied boat that we would be putting there.
Oh, someone would have to stay on it.
Correct.
Oh.
So an unoccupied boat, we'll find something to do. We'll contact the owner, we'll send someone to their home. If it's a boat free adrift, we're gonna get it back at anchor. We're gonna do something with it. We're not gonna leave it to where we don't know who owns it, who's responsible for it tied up.
Okay.
And if I could, just really quick, and Josh knows this, the older lady, I forgot the name of the boat that we put on the mooring and Salt Run. Her name was Helen, I remember the name of the
This is
boat.
the one that couldn't find a place to go or something like that?
Well, she was close to 80. She probably shouldn't have been on the water in the first place. There were several points in times where she was drinking the water out of a green bean can because she didn't have a dinghy. She couldn't get off her boat. She couldn't operate her boat initially. So I brought food to her. Sam brought food to her. My deputy brought food to her. Our grants person brought food and water to her. Police department did. And by the way, during this time, her dog had a seizure and had to be put down.
Oh, God.
So our fire department had to come out and help her with that.
Where was she at, located, the boat?
In Salt Run.
Oh.
And she had passed through like 2.5 months ago, and she was going down to Fort Lauderdale to see her mother. And she only made it as far as Palm Coast, and then she came back, and my understanding of the story is she made it as far as Green Cove Springs, then came back around and ran ashore. FWC brought her crew in the morning, and we had her there. She said she was going to be there for 2 or 3 days, ended up for 4 weeks. So, and I won't even go into her family issues, trying to call her children and things like that. It's kind of sad, but but that's issues that we want to try to avoid if we can.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other governmental, oh, you were
I only have
finished?
one more.
Okay,
thing.
sorry.
I don't know if you wanted me to ask for new budget, but we don't have nothing for new budget, but continuing the overtime in the Port District only
Oh,
at the same amount.
Which was
The 20,000
The 20,000?
yearly.
yeah, they have to vote on that, because that's on the worksheet.
Did we do that now?
Yeah, because we're gonna have a budget meeting at 5:05.
So I would like to ask to continue the Port District overtime for the sheriff's office side of it at the 20,000, which was the same as this current year.
All right.
So we would just fund, I mean, there's still 9,000 something there, so you're saying just keep it at the 20?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, because once this September is over, it just starts again. You're not gonna carry the 9,000 over
Correct.
to the 20, it'll just be the.
Okay.
Elise, do we typically underspend on that budget item every year by that amount?
Well, yeah, because what we normally do is whatever monies are left over after the actual budget for the operating expenses.
That's reserve, right,
The
yeah.
leftover goes into what these Port District projects. And so you guys get to decide whether, how much for the city police overtime, the artificial reef, derelict boats. And what we do is normally when you put an amount in there, the leftover goes in, and then if there's any leftover, like we did last year, there was like 190,000. And that went into unspecified marine projects, like if something were to come up. That's what would be in there.
Okay.
So that's pretty much how it's done every year.
See no problem with keeping the 20,000, Josh. Is that it?
That's all I have.
Well, I'll
Thank
make
you.
a motion to keep it at the 20,000. That's
Well,
what you're
do
here
we
for.
need a motion?
Ooh, I've got a
We
question.
decide that at the budget hearing, don't we?
No, because at the budget hearing, you're just deciding.
Okay.
On the last year's rate or the rollback rate. We already did that the
Okay.
last meeting, and then for this one, we're gonna adopt,
Okay.
Okay, well,
not
go ahead,
officially
motion.
till
All right, then I
October.
make a motion that we keep it at the $20,000, and the $9,000 will go towards that 20.
I thought we were doing that in the budget meeting.
No, in the budget meeting, the only thing we're doing in the budget meeting is you're gonna have, you should have two pieces of paper there, one with the last year's rate, one with the rollback rate. Last month, or July, we decided to use the prior year's rate. So, but that was just,
Right.
so at this meeting at 5:05, excuse me, you're gonna decide, that you're gonna keep with the last year's rate, or you're gonna go to the rollback rate. The only thing that's difference is the amount of revenue that's gonna be collected, and it's not that much difference between the two. And then your budget's already made up as far as for your operating expenses and all that. That's on your budget worksheet. That shows you what's coming up for next year and what has been paid to date for the year. So what you're gonna really decide on is which rate you want to use. And then these, the proposed budget projects is when if somebody from the fire department or somebody from the marine department wants to get on there and add to that, and you would approve or disapprove of the funding. But basically, that money's already on the budget. That 384,000 or whatever it is already on your budget. This is just deciding where to put it.
Commissioner Wade, would you restate the motion?
Yes, I make the motion that we fund the sheriff's department overtime at the $20,000 as of last year.
For a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Oh, one more question, I'm sorry. Last meeting, we were talking about the serious problem of sewage, especially on the San Sebastian. Since the mooring ball's been in, it helps a lot. There's still a lot of people dumping in Salt Run. If they're there in Salt Run, they're dumping in Salt Run, if they're living on the boat. Mr. Way mentioned, and I know they do this down in Marathon. Have you ever seen this where you go into a boat, say when they come into harbor or whatever, and you have to lock the macerator lock?
Correct.
They put a police sticker on it somehow, or a police wire with a sticker, you may want
Wire.
to describe. If you disturb this at all, you can't unlock it without disturbing it. So when you come back for the check, if it's, there's a ticket, you don't have to, what do you think about that? Have you ever heard of doing that?
I haven't heard of that, but I can tell you what we do and Coast Guard Station Mayport do, because we do it combined.
Okay.
Is we have these tablets, they're lime green dye tablets.
Right.
And we actually make them, we'll place them in their toilet,
Yeah.
their MSD, and flush it. And if the valve is open, it'll flush overboard, and it makes the water around their boat fluorescent green.
That works really good when they don't know you're coming.
Correct.
The thing is, I was on a boat 14 and a half years after cruising for 8, and I have never had y'all come out here that we didn't all know you were coming, is the problem. Or if you didn't, the minute you show up at Rivers Bend or whatever marina to do one, word on the water fast.
By the
I don't
time
have
we
to
do
tell
one
you,
side, the other
you
side's
can't
perfect.
you can't get out the first boat without everybody's already fixed their lock,
Ma'am, I know that last time I did Rivers Bend was the beginning of the month.
Right.
We had like 4 violations on the
Yeah.
south side, and by the time we made it to the
It
north
was
side,
sweet,
everybody
right?
was perfect.
Ain't nobody pumping into the water, are they?
No.
What do you think about getting one of those, if we were able to fund something like that to buy, would that be something you would be willing
Oh, definitely.
to do? So that when you got on a boat.
The valves are easy. I mean, we
Right.
see them anyways when we go in to put the
Right.
tabs in. The valves are normally right there, and you could
It
see
could be
whether they're
even
closed.
just a special type Ziploc that like nobody, printed on, FWC or something like that they couldn't replace. Wouldn't even have to.
Definitely. No, we would be all for it.
I'd like to put on the agenda for next month that we discuss that amongst the board about possibly financing some stickers and zips if y'all are willing to use them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What is that you want to put on for the?
A sticker lock or a zip lock for head macerator, how would we say that, Chris?
Just to,
The MSD valve,
MSD valve, there you go.
MSD, Marine Sanitation
Master
they
Division.
have those little metal, looks like a little padlock, and it's.
Kind of like they put on like your power meter.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But
No,
I think, the caveat to that is, in the certain areas that do that, obviously, if they rent a mooring ball, boom, that should be done immediately. But if they don't rent a mooring ball, then you still have to, when that boat anchors up, somebody's got to go there and put the lock on it.
Correct.
And so that would have to be taken into consideration.
It'd be nice to have them on all, even the mooring boats. See, and the harbor management plans says that when you come to a mooring ball, the city's supposed to board your boat and inspect it for the legalities. But that never has been done, I don't think even once, since we had the mooring field. So maybe.
I mean, it would require a pump-out boat, that once you go to the mooring ball, you get a pump-out when you leave or
right, but
when you
in the
tie
harbor
up.
management plan,
Yeah.
they're supposed to go down below and check the valve. And then, again, that would be the time you put the lock, but see, the city has never actually performed that part of the harbor management plan. Most of that is really under control with the pump-out boat. I still see a little bit of sewage come out of the nothing like it was. Okay, we'll put it on the agenda.
That's a valuable option. I mean, we could definitely use it south of 312.
Oh, my God. You could oh, my God. Yeah, you could use it south of 312.
People anchor down there for just that reason.
Right, well, the thing is, that's a $500 ticket, am I right?
Yes,
Boy, rent gets real high when you get 2 or 3 of those in the same month, doesn't it?
If Coast Guard issues it to you, it's a federal civil citation.
My Lord, how much does that cost you, Coast Guard?
You have to go to administrative court.
Okay.
The Coast Guard's is a lot higher than ours.
Is there any other government representative here? All right, new business. Dan Florian is here to make a presentation concerning the Regatta of Lights.
Good afternoon, Dan Florian, St. Augustine Yacht Club, 442 Ocean Vista Avenue. With me is Jim Gajewski, another past Commodore. He's also with St. Augustine Yacht Club. We're here again, as we come every year, to ask you for help for the Regatta of Lights. We've been doing this now for well over a dozen years, as the Yacht Club's been doing it. It's been more than that, I think, for the event itself. You've graciously given us some help every year. This year, the Tourist Development Council grant application that we processed for $8,000 came back, and we got a very good score from the rating committee. But unfortunately, they had so many grant requests that they decided to cut everybody in half. So instead of getting approximately $7,500 as we expected, we're only getting about $3,500. It costs about $10,000 to $12,000 to put this event on. So I'm here this time to ask for, in addition to the $3,500, of course, fine gives us $500 every year. So we have $4,000. We need $11,000. So I'm here to ask you for $7,000 this year.
And what's 11,000 for? Was there a prize that goes along with it? The winner of the?
It's mostly for advertising and promotional costs, and for the event costs itself. There's a whole list of expenses that we come up with every year, but it works out about $10,000 to $12,000. Last year, I think it was 13 actually that we spent. Can you see what?
Well, we would need a grant. Are we going to vote on that today? Because we do have to have a grant application on it, don't we?
If somebody makes a motion, since he's on the agenda, if somebody makes a motion, it's seconded, then we
I know,
will.
but honey, there are state laws that says we have to oversee our grants, and part of that is having a paper trail, and it starts with the grant application. I can't find a single grant application in our office. So we don't know what the, a year later, we don't know what the money
We've done
was.
this for a number of years in a row.
No,
at
you
least
have, but you don't
20
collect
years
what
that
you
I
need
know
to
of.
do. You need the grant application. It's required by the state to oversee the grant. That's part of the
Let me
the
ask our
oversight.
counsel.
Where is it required by the state?
You had to find it. You're a lawyer.
Can I,
Well, I can tell you it's not required by the special
Oh,
district's
look at that.
charter, which is what governs this.
can I just,
Oh, sure, well then let's turn it around. You show me in your charter where it says we don't require oversight for our grants.
can I suggest something, please?
Yes.
And it's not a
Could you, we got some time. Could you put together a budget on what you want and what you're going to do, and then come back and see us at the next meeting?
We'd be happy to do
That's
that.
the way we don't have to
Then
air
we
our
can put
dirty
it in a
laundry
folder.
in public, so.
You have a standard format that you want?
Well, I mean, just,
It's on the website,
I'll get it from Elise.
yeah, or just basically where the money's going to go, and
what you're gonna, and that would be
We can do
really
that.
nice to have a folder at the port that follows that project so we can know, taxpayers know what their money was spent on.
And the only other funding y'all are getting is from FIND, you said?
Find and the TDC grant.
Okay.
Those are the two sources we have, plus whatever you guys
Okay,
provide.
our next meeting will be on October the 15th,
We'll be back.
so,
do that.
Tonight, the Regatta of Lights is in November.
No, it's in December. It's always the
First week of
Second
second
December.
Saturday of
Yeah.
December.
if you would address that to Elise, get her address, and so then she'll give it to the rest of us
What I'll do is
before
I'll
the
forward-
meeting.
When you fill it out, it's on the website, when you fill it out.
I'll send it to you.
forward it to all the commissioners.
That's fine.
Right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, there's nothing, no other new business, so we go to old business. There's nothing under old business, so we'll go to public comment.
We have some cards.
Okay, public comment is open now. Mr. Slavin?
What'd you say,
Oh,
Jim?
we do have a 5-minute rule.
Wait,
Ed Slavin, box 3084, staugustgreen.com. Calling your attention to my article in the St. Augustine Record a couple Sundays ago, County, City should pass the 7-generation test. This board needs to consider every single action in terms of how it will affect people in our nation's oldest city and environs in 7 generations. People have lived here for 22 generations. This board ain't doing that right now. You're not letting people speak in public comment. Under 286, we have an absolute indefeasible right under Florida law to speak every time you take a vote, every time you vote to spend money. You need a pump-out vote. You need to have your own dredge or rent a dredge. This business of offshore reefs is not allowed by your charter. That's an ultra-virus act. Learned counsel can tell you what an ultra-virus act. It's illegal. Also, the Regatta of Lights, I don't find anywhere in your charter that it's the business of the St. Augustine Port, Waterway, and Beach Commission to do that. Now, in the kayak launch, basically what the city of St. Augustine did was to stiff y'all. Y'all voted to give a kayak launch and to pay the money. Mr. Piggott doesn't want one. Mr. Piggott apparently is Republican Lord of all he surveys, and he gets veto rights over the vote of the City Commission and the Port and Waterway Commission. That dog won't hunt. Now, I sent y'all and the county commissioners on the project at the south end of the county there, Matanzas River there, the Summerhaven River. I sent y'all the contact information for a lady engineer from the University of Florida and Dr. Michael Shirley, both of whom are willing to speak at a joint meeting of the Port and Waterway District Commission and the County Commission. Now, if you look at the video of the last County Commission meeting that dealt with the issue of the Summerhaven River, several of the commissioners have real questions, and so do I, about breach of fiduciary duty. We have spent millions and millions of dollars on the Summerhaven River project without proper oversight, and I think there's probably a majority of the commission that would like to really know, where's your science? Where's your engineering? The engineer's contract expired last year. The lawyer has never had a contract. The Secretary-Treasurer is supposed to be a board member under your charter. Secretary-Treasurer is supposed to be a member of the organization. She's not. Please don't talk when I'm talking, ma'am. That's distracting. Now, please gavel her. Now, your Secretary-Treasurer is an independent contractor, which means under Florida Statute 112, the ethics statute, she's not bound by ethics laws. Repeatedly, year after year after year, in every single audit, as far back as Commissioner Flowers and I were able to find in your office, which, by the way, the wrong address is given on the website.
Yeah.
It's not 88 Riberia Street. It's in City Hall, room 241.
It hasn't been at 88 Riberia in 6 years.
And they wouldn't even tell her where the office was until I made some open records requests, and this alleged Secretary-Treasurer, this illegally serving independent contractor who's not independent at all, apparently she takes orders from the engineer. Because the reason I know that is Commissioner Flowers was in the office once, and an engineer from that engineering company told that alleged Secretary-Treasurer, don't talk to her. Mr. Rivers, are you elected as a vice chair? Were you elected? Because I couldn't find that anywhere. Yes. If you're not, you're presiding over this meeting right now. How? Now, why does the district lack a welcoming spirit? I have never seen in 42 years a government agency, and I'm including East Tennessee, I'm including TVA, I'm including the Anderson County Commission, I'm including Big Shot Crooks. I have never seen a government body anywhere with a less welcoming spirit. The very first time I made an open records request, I called your alleged attorney who's illegally serving and doesn't have a contract and never has in 10 years. He's never returned the call. And I made an open records request to the lady over there, the alleged Secretary-Treasurer. You know what she did? She responded and said it would be $50 an hour for her to babysit me, which the Florida Supreme Court said back in 2016 was illegal when the city of Jacksonville tried to do that. Now, Justice Louis Dembitz Brandeis said famously that when government becomes a lawbreaker, it promotes disrespect for the law. You've got law enforcement officers here. I wish one of them would make an arrest. I'd like to make a citizen's arrest. Mr. Rivers, you were rude to me when I tried to put in a comment card. You wouldn't recognize me, and you violated 286. You're rude at every single meeting to Commissioner Flowers. She is your equal. You are a chauvinistic, misogynist, sexist. I think you might even be a homophobe, but you shouldn't treat people that way. And never again should this district bark at people as you did when I simply tried to comment, as is my legal right under 286. I forgive you. I'll pray for you. My religious tradition teaches forgiveness, but this board, you're out of line. You need to get with the program and start complying with the law, state and federal. What'd you say?
Mr. Slavin.
Time's up.
Oh, your time's up, dude.
Okay.
It is. It is. Y'all will be lucky not to go to jail. Jail.
Sir, would you state your name and address?
Yeah, I know, bro. Easy. Tom Reynolds, 50 Brigantine Court. I've been to more meetings than you, dude. I gotta tell you something. I don't even like Slavin. He's 1,000% right. Official misconduct. It's unlawful for a public servant with corrupt intent to obtain a benefit for any person or to cause harm to another. I want you to remember that, cause harm to another. Falsify or cause another person to falsify any official record or document. Conceal, cover up, destroy, mutilate, or alter any official record or official document or cause another person to perform such an act. Obstruct, delay, or prevent the communications of information relating to the commission of a felony that directly involves or affects the public agency or public entity served by the public servant. For the purpose of this section, the term public servant does not include a candidate who does not otherwise qualify as public servant. An official record or official document includes only public records. Any person who violates this section commits a felony of third degree and faces up to 5 years in prison. I gotta tell you something. I'm amazed to hear this attorney who doesn't have a contract jump up and yell at Slavin, "Your time is up." He's an ignorant man.
He has no business sitting there.
You don't have a contract for him? A contract?
No, sir.
It's 2019. But I also want to explain something to you. Every voting item, you have to open it up for public comment. I highly suggest that Commissioner Flowers goes to the state attorney. Because I went to the state attorney when a guy named James Patrick Wilson that sits in here broke the law in October 2016. He doesn't break the law anymore. Every single item, they open it up for public comment. But I want to tell you, 1,000 public meetings, I've never once heard of a board that has somebody writing checks who's not a government employee. Wow. Holy cow. The incompetents are in charge. You're dangerous. You're very dangerous. Now, here's the good news. Don't worry about laws. You're above them. You live in St. Johns County. Who's going to enforce them? Criminal David Shore? Oh my God. That guy's committed more official misconduct than all of the other people in this island right now. Robert Hardwick, across the hall, another criminal, committed official misconduct. It's a disgrace. And I want to tell you something. When I was reading all the Slavin stuff, I honestly didn't believe it. I truly thought somehow Slavin was kidding me. Somehow he wanted to pull a joke. And then I made some calls. And then I suggested to Mr. Slavin to do what I've had to do before. Get dressed up and go to the statewide office of prosecution. There's some real serious wrongdoing. Maybe it's just unethical. Maybe it's just incompetence. Because after all, I did look up some of you folks. You are Republicans, so I can understand that. Because as we all know, this county has a lot of Republicans, and they don't read. So I highly suggest maybe you ought to try reading the public records law and look at the end of the public records law, and you'll see that the state attorney is the enforcer. But this attorney has got to go, because he's an ignorant man. To jump up like he did, no contract, he's got the worst reputation. But I'm going to tell you what, tomorrow I'll make out a Florida bar complaint against him. Because I got to tell you something, for him to sit here knowing you don't have an employee, to know a government employee, a non-government employee is writing the checks. I'm 62 years old, 1,000 meetings.
Thank you.
Now,
More public comment? Okay, if no more public comment. We'll have comments by our commissioners. Commissioner Way?
Any answers? Can we have
Oh,
some
no.
answers?
I'm sorry? I didn't hear what?
Can we have some answers, please?
Yes, I have no comments.
Oh, no,
No
I'm
comment,
sorry.
okay.
Mr. Reynolds?
Commissioner Brown?
You're gonna have to give us some time to get back to you on those answers, Ed. We can't, you dumped a lot of stuff on our plate.
I can do some answers. I'm working with the governor's office, the state inspector general's office, the state attorney, the inspector general over the Department of Economic Opportunity, which oversees this board, the attorney general's office, and pretty much the state inspector general told me that most of the stuff in my complaint was a crime and has to go through FDLE, and I have in fact sent, and my hands are not under my butt. I am doing everything I can. And I will dress up and go to the state attorney's office. Because there's a guy named James Parker at the state attorney's office. He's trying to do everything he can to keep me from filing a complaint. He wouldn't even give me an email address.
I got him fired from here.
Yeah, I know about him. He's a piece of work. Everything but take a complaint. So, again, I expect to see every one of us in court at some point.
Anything else, Commissioner Flowers?
Is it for comments or questions?
It's for comments.
Comments, okay. One comment I'd like to make is if Mr. Slavin is right about 286, we will not be able to write that check, and it's an emergency check to the county to do that breakthrough, because we will have to reconvene this board, allow him to speak, and take another vote.
We're not writing a check, are we?
Are we doing, okay, whatever the vote was there, it is going to be negated if he's right about that, and we will still have to take the vote again, even if it's not about money. So just be aware that it's not approved if he's right about 286 and we were supposed to let him vote. We're going to have to, and I guarantee you he's going to know in just a few minutes of leaving this board, and we're going to have to reconvene just to give them the permission. Let's see. Mr. Slavin, you asked if the vice chair was elected. He was elected in December. It was our chairman that took the job without any election. He just took the job, and then he started spending $6,000 whenever he wanted, even though it's not in the charter. Now, person who's supposed to be our lawyer, how is it you let him get away with that? He sat right here at this board and said, I can spend $6,000, it's in the charter. I've looked at that charter from front to back 1,000,000 times. It's nowhere in the charter, so can you explain that to us?
Yeah, the board, at a previous time, can I answer her?
Yes.
Yeah. At a previous time, gave the chairman authority to spend $6,000 in emergencies.
We need that. You know what? Every member, first of all, if you do that, I read, the state says if you're going to make laws like that, you need to submit them for the state so they can be enacted into the charter. If you're going to just all of a sudden change the law, which is what you did, you have to submit it so it can be enacted into the charter, and then you can do that. Just sitting here and say, it's just like giving ourselves $200 every month when we're not supposed to be a paid board. Just calling it travel.
$6,000.
I'm just giving you another example of how you cannot change the charter without having that enacted through the legislature.
Right, well, the charter gives the board carte blanche power to spend money.
It does not give any individual on this board power to spend money without a vote of a quorum.
No, the board authorized the chairman to have a contingency fund.
I just told you, that is not legal. The board cannot change the charter and authorize the chairman without that being enacted through the charter. When it comes to spending public money, the board can't decide to give that power to one person. It has to be a vote by a quorum. It's the tip of the iceberg. I could go on and on, but I'm too tired. That's the end of my comments. One thing I would like to put on next month's agenda is voting in. We need to hire a new attorney, we need to hire a lawyer, and we need to vote in a secretary. I would like to put on the next month's agenda, please.
Okay, the next meeting will be October the 15th. Comes early.
There is a meeting October 3rd for the final public hearing.
Okay.
And we need to come back here. Everybody needs to be here at 5:05. I need at least 3 of you. I have to have a quorum
Okay.
for the
What's that date?
Third?
the 3rd of October at 5:05, and today at 5:05.
Right. All right, the meeting is, I have a motion to adjourn.
Second is, all right, I'll
Second.
move to adjourn, yeah.
Second.
Okay. We're adjourned. We meet again at 5:05 today. This public hearing to order, Tuesday, September the 17th, 5:05 PM at the St. Augustine Beach City Commission. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Commissioner Way?
Here.
Commissioner Rivers?
Here.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Benjamin? Absent. Commissioner Flowers?
Here.
Okay, the purpose of this meeting is to set a tentative millage increase and millage over the rollback rate. We tentatively had set the millage at 6.33%. Wait a minute, excuse me, sorry about that, I forgot to turn my phone off. Elise, would you explain?
Yes, there's two different case models for the budget. You can either go with the rollback rate or last year's rate. The rollback rate is a no percent increase. The last year's rate is a 6.33% tax roll rate increase. So if you look, what we have on projected for each column under projected is the actual amount of money spent for the year. That's what was spent. So the proposed is based on what we see, for next year. And nothing really has changed except the annual audit amount, and basically, it really hasn't increased as far as the budget, as far as what we did last year as opposed to this coming year. So the last meeting, I believe it was July's meeting, the board had discussed that you agreed to go with the last year's rate. And that is the one with the 6.33 tax roll increase. Or you can go with the rollback rate. You can't go any higher than the last year's rate because you already agreed to that, but you can go lower with the rollback rate. So the only difference between the two is with the last year's rate, the tax revenue is $570,634, and the rollback rate would give you $536,006. So there's really not that much difference, but it does give you a little more with the last year's rate to do if you have other projects you want to do, like if you want to buy the boat, or if you want to, you'll have the money, it just gives you a little added cushion. It's not much, it's 30,000 or such,
Okay.
but that's about it. So that's all, and then now you would just go to what we need you to do is set the tentative budget. So you have to vote on whether you want to go with the last year's rate or the rollback rate.
So we're setting the millage rate, right?
You're setting the millage rate.
Okay, to start off, I'd like to entertain a motion that I'm not making the motion, but just to start discussion, you're supposed to have a motion first and then discussion afterwards. So I'd like a motion to go with what we previously had tentatively decided, to go with the last year's rate of .0638 mils.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion if that's what we agreed on last time.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Now discussion.
Okay, so you set the tentative budget at the rollback rate.
No, the last year.
I mean, last year's rate, I'm sorry. Last year's
Last
rate.
year's, yeah.
I'm sorry, millage, the millage rate.
Yeah, we haven't voted on it yet, though.
No, you have public comment.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, discussion.
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Wait,
I
no,
thought
don't
you
they have to
said-
do public first?
No, it's on the agenda. Public comment is number 6.
But why do we vote on something before the public has a chance
Hey,
to comment on it?
I'm sorry.
Actually, you're probably right. We just have never, in the 19 years I've been doing this, have anybody from the public ever been here.
I'm
So we
good with
never
that.
had to have the public
Okay, so
speak.
let's just hold our
Okay, so,
vote.
let's pause and open it for public comment. Did anybody
So
want to comment
that's fine.
specifically on the millage rate?
Tom Reynolds, 50 Brigantine Court, 32080. I would urge this board to go at rollback rate. By going with the same rate you had last year, you're raising taxes. St. Augustine Beach is raising taxes. The county's going with the same rate, they're raising taxes, but St. Augustine Beach went to a higher millage. Those folks that were here, that's what they're talking about, $1,500. They just got their tax bill from last year. If you're desperate and need for money, well, I guess go with the same rate. But if you're not, go with the rollback rate. I know this is going to be very difficult because it really is very hard to understand this. But a fiscal conservative doesn't raise taxes unless it's really an emergency. It's that simple. Rollback rate, those people that paid last year, they're going to pay the same. You know that, and I know that. Keeping it the same, you're raising their taxes. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Tom?
Yes.
When you say that, is it because of the cost of living has gone up to keep us, explain it just a little bit further to me, how keeping it.
The property value
Okay.
is going
So the
up. It's
percentage of-
skyrocketing.
Okay.
We know it's skyrocketing.
But to be clear, can I point of clarification? We do not, these taxes are not based on property value. This is a flat tax that we pay. Is that
Oh, yeah.
correct?
No, it's based, no.
It's a millage is applied to the property.
Okay,
value. So
okay,
the
sorry.
property values have gone up, so if you use last year's rate, you take in more money.
Okay.
It goes up by the same proportion as the tax roll has increased.
I
But
see.
does everybody pay the same amount of tax, or it's based
No,
on
it
the?
depends on your property value.
No,
Which is
no,
not a flat tax. I thought it was a flat
No,
tax.
no.
So it
No, it's
is
a
just
millage.
percentage based on the value, just like other property
Right,
taxes.
exactly.
Yeah, it's a very tiny millage compared to everybody else.
The average
You
is,
telling me those people that were here because they kept?
$1,500, their taxes went up all in all from last year's bill.
that was, yeah, that was, he was right.
Yeah, that's
That was
everything.
the
And I know that your
whole-
millage is very low. I know it is low,
Right.
which is nice. But I know you have a big responsibility. But I got to tell you something. I know everybody knows this. Those wages aren't going up.
So the rollback rate keeps it the same as it?
Rollback, those
about-
people will get the same amount as they were taxed last year from this board. They'll have the exact same amount.
They,
But if you need emergency money and you have to keep the millage the same, well, you do, but just justify it, because really, I think people, when they have to pay a little more, if they can get a really good answer, they agree with it. When they get this bill and they know it goes up, and they don't have any explanation, they won't agree with it, and in fact, they'll probably be angry. But thank you very much, that was great.
There's one thing I'd like to say about this, is that I know what you're saying is true. But for instance, our little board here, we don't get that much anyway. On my property taxes, I have to pay $5,000 a year, and about $15 comes from this board.
theirs went up $1 with the port,
Okay.
they used the rollback rate. I
So-
looked at her bill, it went up
The
$1.
difference is about
Right,
$1.
it's probably not this board that's doing it, but still, even if it is just a tiny bit, maybe just a little justification, you know, like with these washouts and everything like that. But if you really didn't need the money, well, then maybe go to the rollback, and actually, really, it would be fiscally conservative. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, you can.
You know, that, I feel differently about it now.
Or public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, Merrill Rowland, 6281 Old Dixie Drive. I've lived in the same house for 32 years, and I wanted to ask the question. I have from the property appraiser's website right now, my property on here. I'm a little confused. Is it Port Authority?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's one that says SJRWMD. That's not you as well.
Johns River.
Water Management District.
So you're the Port Authority one?
Port, yes.
So I'd like to tell you what I pay in taxes that it's saying that I'm going to pay, that I paid last year. $1.56.
$1.56.
Is what you
$1.56.
paid?
That's what
And
I
what does
paid.
it show as proposed on your trim bill?
Well, it has, if you go back, you know, it has depending
It
on what
should
you
have
do
the-
here.
yeah.
But it was 3 pennies. It was like 3 pennies difference. But that's me. I live in a house that's actually worth about $250,000. But because I bought it for $50,000 32 years ago.
Right.
I don't mind telling you, because it's public record, that I pay a year in taxes $401. And that's including garbage and recycling and all that. That's because I hope you don't mind me doing a back and forth with you here, but I just wanted to let you know, it's an insignificant amount to me. However, it may not be an insignificant amount to someone who lives in Ponte Vedra in a $4 million house, and there's lots of them over there. But I just wanted to let you know how much I pay, and so you can see the difference, because you hear different things from people. And my tax is very low for a few reasons, and I don't mind telling you. It's in the public record. Because I bought the house 32 years ago. It's homesteaded. I'm disabled, so I get $500 off every year on my tax because I'm permanently disabled. And I get that other $25,000 value where I don't get taxed on that.
You get a cap too, you get a homestead cap.
So, and now I just turned 65, so I was told that next year it'll be even lower. But I just wanted to let you know that you people only get $1.56 from me.
So are you saying that you might not be so object if we did the, not the rollback rate, but just last year's rate?
Well, no matter which rate you do, of course, to me personally, it doesn't matter. So, you know, I shouldn't be up here speaking for 250,000 other people that live in this county, and that wouldn't be fair. But I just want to let you know, no matter what it is that people have, whatever their value is, your amount that you charge is the lowest amount on the list of, you know, the biggest amount is our school. And that's a good thing. But I'm 65 and I don't have any children that I know of. And so, but the biggest amount that I have paid, now I didn't always get this discount, you know. When I first bought the house, I was paying like over $1,000 in taxes. But I want you to know that it's a good thing to have children in school, and rather than them being in jail. And so, you know, they don't get an education. But I just want to let you know what an insignificant amount it is to me. And don't let that influence you, please, on what, you know, because there's other people who may be paying, someone say they were paying not $1,500 to this?
It's an increase, property tax.
The total amount
Oh,
of your
okay.
whole bill increase.
Well, that's not bad, you know.
That was their, yeah, that was.
That was their increase, I think.
But we have around 250,000 people that live in this county. I don't know how many residents that is, but about 250,000 people. So I just wanted to let you know what I pay.
Not in the port.
Yeah, but only about, what, 50,000 in the port?
145, no.
So
Oh, is
for
it
all the
145
things-
in the port district?
So for all the things that you do, and I don't know all the things
No,
you do, because this is the
45.
second meeting that I've been to, you know, it's an insignificant amount in comparison to, you know, school taxes and the sheriff's department and all. I mean, the sheriff's got the biggest budget, you know, like $70 million a year, and he wants more. They always want more. Anyway, thank you for listening. I just wanted to let you know what I pay, and that I appreciate what you're doing. I've heard, this is my second meeting, I've heard some of the things you do, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's about 45,000 in the port district.
Comment?
Good afternoon. Ed Slavin, Box 3084, St. August Green. Calling your attention again to the article I had in the record, the 7-generation test. I don't think this board passes that test because I don't think you've fairly deliberated your budget or the future. And calling your attention to one of the 2 pieces of paper that your alleged Secretary Treasurer gave you. You've got current reserve, please don't talk while I'm speaking, that's very distracting. $2,625,841 in the bank. And you want more? I think Mr. Reynolds has a very good point about the rollback rate, unless you've got some plans for the money, and we haven't heard any plans. Now, during the break, I asked the learned counsel and the alleged Secretary Treasurer for a copy of the detailed budget justification and an actual budget with line items, and I didn't get it. So your staff, well, not staff, your independent contractor, Secretary Treasurer serving illegally, and your alleged attorney de facto serving illegally, they're breaching their duty to the taxpayers. And under Florida Statute 200.065, this is not a legal trim hearing. Now, I have the right to ask questions and demand answers. May we have a pump out boat, please? Could you please put some money in the budget for a pump out boat? You've got the money in the bank. Please answer when I'm done. Can you please put some money in the budget for dredging? And for the district to save money, be like TVA for power, and actually own a dredging boat. Actually buy or rent a dredging boat instead of paying contractors. Now, I want to call your attention to two items I don't see in the budget, but I want to make sure that you're not doing it. Well, actually, we did hear earlier about the Regatta of Lights. Where in the charter is that a legal spend? I don't think so. And also, the offshore reef that went in several prior years' budgets, I don't think that's a legal spend either. Now, Sandra Parks has said that a budget is a moral document. Now, unless we're planning for 7 generations in the future, I don't see how this is a moral document. We're not talking about ocean level rise. Commissioner Sandy Flowers and I just attended a meeting at the Guantanamo-Matanzas National Estuarine Research Reserve. That's a mouthful. That's 19 syllables. I'd rather call it the St. Augustine National Historical Park and National Seashore, and we'll get to that presently. But we just attended a meeting with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and I saw the maps showing what it's going to be with 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. The current jurisdiction of this port and waterway district is going to be flooded a lot. We need to plan for that. Maybe you need a higher tax rate. You certainly need to plan some projects, and you certainly need not to have an illegally serving engineering company whose contract expired in 2018 and was not renewed at this meeting today telling you what to do. That company has not had a contract renewal since when? 29 years, is that correct? 29 years?
They're continuing the contract from
Right,
1991.
but I mean, their contract, they admitted at the last meeting that it expired in 2018. Your attorney has never had a retainer agreement or a proper contract, a proper government contract. Your alleged Secretary Treasurer charged Commissioner Flowers $50 an hour to watch her read documents, tried to do the same with me, and I told them that was illegal under Florida Supreme Court precedent. But I'll tell you, during the break, those two people were nasty to me. I'm not going to quote what they said right now, but whatever happened to the video of the meetings? Could y'all please put some money in the budget to pay the city of St. Augustine Beach? I thought the Secretary Treasurer was supposed to research that for y'all. Could you also put some money in the budget for letterhead? Because I know at the last meeting you authorized.
It's already been ordered.
Please don't interrupt. Commissioner Flowers asked at the last meeting about sending a letter, and y'all said go ahead and send it to the U.S. Please don't comment like a Greek chorus when I'm talking. That's so rude. She asked for permission to have a letter, and y'all said go ahead and do it, to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. She can't even get letterhead. I mean, this district, and what about authorizing money for a kayak launch, and the city of St. Augustine, in what I would call an illegal diversion, decides, oh, we're not going to do it. Mr. Piggott apparently is calling the shots. The engineer is apparently calling the shots. The technical term is breach of fiduciary duty. What Mr. Reynolds said, state crimes. It's ultra-virus acts. I think your Secretary Treasurer and your attorney, I think they may have, because of this situation with the Summer Haven River and the existence of the Florida PTAM statute and the Florida False Claims Act, I think there's some potential liability there. So, and you haven't provided, they never did provide a detailed budget justification for every single line item. So I hope you do what Sandra Parks did when she was a city commissioner and vote on every single line item and ask questions, demand answers, and we do expect democracy. And even though this is the first time in 19 years anybody's ever showed up, we're going to be coming to every single meeting from now on, and I thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
No.
No? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
How about discuss? Can we just do a little
Okay.
bit of discussion? Okay. Well, I feel a little bit differently after two things. Number one, he's right. We do have $2 million. Does the $2 million that we have include the $1 million that we keep in the bank for emergencies? So that's part of the $2 million?
Yes.
Okay, got you. But, so that still leaves us with $1 million. And we don't seem, I would love to put money for a pump-out boat in the budget, but I'd make a motion to
What does that
put money-
cost?
That I don't know yet, because I've been so busy working on the corruption that is going on in this board, I don't have quite enough time between that and all of my other responsibilities, but I will make sure I have it at the next one.
Okay.
Actually, tell you all the truth, on that pump-out boat, I was gonna go to the city, because their pump-out boat is still in good shape, but it's been going about 10 years now, and
But
see
that-
if they would be willing to sell it used.
That money could just go under district projects though, right?
That's exactly correct.
Right, so
And
that
also,
there is,
pump-out boats, we can always get a 50-50 matching grant, federal, for that, for a pump-out boat.
sure,
I
so we
think
should.
it's very easy.
I think we should absolutely look into that. I think it's a great idea.
Do we have a motion?
I'd make a motion
We
to,
already,
Wait a minute, you got a motion on the floor regarding the millage rate.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the motion on the floor is that the millage rate would be set at last year's rate. And that is 6.33. Any discussion?
6.33 is.
I think that we could easily go back to the rollback rate.
So why don't we take a roll call vote?
Okay.
Roll call.
Now you're voting on the last year's millage rate now.
We're voting on the,
It's 0.06.
on last year's
Yeah.
rate, yes.
Yeah,
Which is 0.0, yes.
yeah.
So Chris Way.
Yeah, I vote yes.
Commissioner Rivers.
Yes?
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Flowers.
I would vote no, because I'd prefer, we just don't, I'd like to qualify my vote. We just don't have a need for it at this time. So there's no reason to do it, so, but no, for that reason.
So the motion passes. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Y'all did answer any of my questions? You didn't answer a single one. Florida statute requires you answer questions.
It's not on the agenda. I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion to adjourn made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is adjourned. Meeting is
Next
adjourned, not the
meeting
motion is adjourned.
October 3rd for 5:05 for your final public
That's the second,
hearing.
right.
Okay, and I will not be here.
Barry will be here.
Sorry, okay.